Hey, what's going on, guys? So, I got a question on Twitter the other day about work life balance, and I figured that would be a good topic for this video. So, I just have some tips that helped me out because I was really, really bad at this for years and years. I used to overwork myself to the point of exhaustion, and I would neglect my family, and it wasn't good. I mean, it did help me get further in my career, but it took a big toll in other areas of my life, in my personal life, my mental health, my physical health, all of that. So this is a really, really important topic. And just to give you an idea of where I'm at, I have a wife with two kids. My son is autistic and nonverbal, so that kind of adds to my plate. And then if any of you have a child with special needs, you know that it really takes a toll on you physically and emotionally. But yeah, and I've also done freelance web development. I've worked for companies, and now I do education and content creation, which has been by far the most difficult and time consuming job that I've ever had. So, I mean, everyone's different. Everyone has a different professional life and a different personal life. So, kind of take this with a grain of salt and take it in a generalized sense. And a lot of this is related to being more productive because the more productive you are, the quicker you can get things done and you can balance that scale. So the first tip that I have is to prioritize your time. And this is, it sounds a lot easier than it actually is. And I'm not just talking about work either. You can apply this to your personal life as well. You want to separate your tasks into levels of importance. So don't just do the first thing that comes to mind. Put some thought into what needs to be done right now, what can be done tomorrow, what can be done next week, and so on. And a lot of people will create lists for this because it's hard to store everything in your head. So if you write it down, or as tech people, we're probably going to have some kind of software that does this for us. But you really want to prioritize the tasks that you have throughout the day, the week, the month. If you have deadlines at work, what exactly needs to be done right now to meet those deadlines and what can wait. And again, you can apply this to your personal life. If your relationship is suffering, maybe a date night or something like that is really important. Don't put it off. That's something that should be at the top of the list. And I'm not going to go too far into like relationship advice. I'm not the right person for that. So the next one is to have a strict routine. So in addition to prioritizing your tasks, have a routine that you follow daily. And this is obviously different for everybody. If you have a 9 to 5, then your part of your day is already structured. If you freelance or you have your own business or you work remotely, this is obviously much more difficult. So I can't tell you exactly how to structure your routine, but just have one. I can give you some tips. For example, as far as when you first wake up, I would suggest doing something relaxing for that first hour. I like to wake up early before everyone else and play some video games. And I know that might not be productive, but it's something that relaxes me and it doesn't take any brain power, and it gives me that time to myself so that I can then go on and be productive for the rest of the day. But you could meditate, you could read a book, you could go jogging, anything like that is great. Also, know when you're at your best. This is another conversation I had on Twitter. I asked people when they were most productive during the day, and everyone seems to know that chunk of time. For me, it's between about 7 a.m. and 2 p.m. That's when I find I can think clearly, I can solve problems and stuff like that. So be sure to use that time wisely. Do the most difficult tasks that you have during that time. And then, for the rest of the day, you can do lighter work. And you may even need to restructure part of your day or even all of your day if you don't have a good routine right now. So next is to take breaks, try to relax. As far as programming, you usually want to take short breaks pretty often. Some people do it every 25 minutes. I tend to take a short break every hour and 20 minutes around that time. I'll take a 5-minute break and stretch and maybe get something to eat or something like that. And then I'll take a couple longer breaks during the day. And then one really long break at 2 after that key time I was talking about. Maybe go to the gym or go get a coffee, leave the house, leave the workplace, come back and finish up. And also I'd suggest taking at least one vacation per year if possible. Most jobs give you that vacation time. If you run your own business, I'm sure you can find time to plan out a vacation and spend time with your family. That's going to keep that balance. You want to spend as much time as you can with your friends, family, your kids, your spouse, whoever is important to you in your life. Also, try relaxing techniques like meditation and breathing. And I used to think that stuff was only for quacks, but I've started doing it and I find it helpful. I'm still very new to it, so I'm not really good at it yet, but I know that it's helped a lot of people and it can really relieve stress. It can make you more mindful and make you just a better programmer and also a better person in general. So one thing you don't want to do is tip the scale too much. And I was guilty of this for years. I was spending way too much time working and putting all my energy into my work, and I had nothing left for my family or even for myself to do hobbies or things that I like doing. I had no weekends because I worked all weekend. I had no days off. Balance is very important, especially if you have kids. You don't want your kids growing up remembering that their dad or their mom was never there and was always at work. And it's hard because, at least for me, my kids are my biggest motivation. I busted my ass 12, 14 hours a day so that I can make something of myself and they can be well provided for, they can go to college and so on. But ultimately, a kid needs to have their dad or their mom there for support and to connect with, to play with. That's really important for a child. So it's not all about money. Money is obviously very important. You want to provide for them, but you want to be there for them as well. And if you don't have kids, I'm sure you have someone that is important to you, a spouse, friends, family, whoever it might be. And even if you are completely alone, then you need to take time for yourself for hobbies and other things you like to do. As passionate as I am about coding and my work, I mean, I don't want to do that all day, every day. That's not really a life. I don't care how much money you make. I mean, what good is it if you don't do anything else? And then you also don't want to tip the scale too much in the other direction where you're not giving enough time to your work. If you're spending too much time watching Netflix or playing video games or something like that, you're not going to get anywhere like that. So you want to keep the scale even, as even as possible, I should say. So my next tip is to cut out the nonsense. Stop doing things that aren't productive and don't serve a purpose. Now, you might say, well, what about playing video games in the morning? That's not productive, but it does serve a purpose. It serves the purpose of me being able to relax before my day gets started. It allows me to decompress and allows me to be more productive later on. So hobbies and stuff like that, they're not productive in a sense where they're making you money or they're helping your career, but they might help you unwind and be less stressful so that you can work better. So ultimately, they do serve a purpose. The key is just to not take it too far and spend too much time on it. Another thing that I've had issues with, and I know a lot of people have, is mindless web browsing. And it could be anything. It could be social media. It could be sports, politics, whatever it is you're into. A lot of times we'll take breaks and go surf the web and we go down this rabbit hole and then it's 2 hours later. And that 2 hours you could have spent with your family, you could have spent working and being productive, but you just kind of lost track of time doing absolutely nothing. And, I've been guilty of this a lot, and that's something that we should all work on. And you also just want to go through your schedule and just cut things out that aren't needed, that aren't important, and you'll free up time and you'll be able to balance that scale better. So programmer burnout is it's huge in the industry. Programming isn't backbreaking work, but it takes a huge toll on you mentally. If you think about it, when you're coding, most of the time it's using up all your brain power. And if I'm writing code for 8-10 hours straight, at the end of the day, my mind is shot and I don't have the mental energy to have a serious conversation with my wife or go to the mall with my kids. All I really want to do is check out. So it's important to really be aware of the things that cause burnout. So coding 10 hours straight, not taking breaks, not doing things to decompress, not spending enough time with your family, not doing any of your hobbies. This stuff all contributes to burnout. And I know that for a lot of you guys that are younger that are just getting into this, maybe you don't have kids, maybe you don't have a girlfriend or boyfriend, and you just want to code all day, eventually you're going to get burnt out. So it's okay to work hard, and that's actually I would encourage you to work hard, but don't overdo it because you're eventually going to regret it. So just be aware of it is all I'm saying. So the next one is don't be a perfectionist. And I don't want you guys to take this the wrong way and think that I'm saying like don't do good work or anything like that. It's very important to do great work. But there is a point where it's just backfires. And I experience this a lot with my videos. I'll mess up one thing and I'll re-record the whole video rather than just editing that part out, because for some reason I feel like the whole video is messed up if I mess up one line of code. I've even done it in this video probably 25 times already. I've re-recorded it, and I don't have to do that. In reality, I'm probably the only one that's going to even notice those mistakes. So that's what I'm talking about, is don't be a perfectionist where it's counterproductive. And I know we want to write good code. We want to write clean code that's optimized, but don't overdo it to where you're actually being counterproductive and no one else would notice it but you. So the last tip I have is don't take on things you can't handle. And sometimes we get opportunities that are really hard to pass up. Maybe you get an email from a client that wants you to do a large project and there may be a significant amount of money involved. So that's hard to pass up. But if you already feel like there's not enough time in the day, then taking on that project may not be a good idea. And I'm not saying don't take on new projects even if you're busy, but really weigh the pros and cons. Take a look at your schedule and make sure that taking that project on isn't going to drive you crazy and it's not going to cause you to neglect your personal life and really tip that scale, because there are more important things than getting a new project. All right, but that's it, guys. I just wanted to share some tips that helped me out. Like I said before, everyone is different, so just look at them in a general sense, and hopefully there's something you can take from it. All right, so that's it. Thanks for watching.